is the problem that I anticipated.
Wow, just locked the rears.
Sport officials are always under intense scrutiny, and it's no different for race directors in F1. Tasked with making race-deciding calls, race control does make terrible calls from time to time. And in some cases, their interference has completely ruined races with questionable penalties, bad flag calls, among many other mistakes. Overturning a race result with a penalty, calling a race early because of weather conditions, wrong interpretations of the rulebook. Race control has made plenty of high-profile mistakes in F1. Sometimes, these errors completely ruin a race. Let's remember some occasions in which race directors got everything wrong. 1989 Japanese Grand Prix. The 1989 title fight between Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna is a legendary one. The intense rivalry between the McLaren drivers came to a boil that season. McLaren took Senna's side, while Prost decided to move to Ferrari for 1990. Benefiting from Senna's mistakes, Prost arrived at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix holding a 21-point lead. With dropped scores applied, Prost could wrap up the championship with one round to go. The Frenchman passed his Brazilian rival at the start and held the lead until lap 47. Senna tried an ambitious dive bomb into the Casio Triangle chicane, and the pair collided. Prost retired on the spot, while Senna returned to the track using the escape road. Pulling off an impressive recovery drive on the final 6 laps, Senna won the race and extended the title fight to the final round. But not too long after the checkered flag, the Brazilian was disqualified for cutting the chicane while trying to return to the track. The questionable call meant that Prost had secured the title with one race to go. 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix. Not knowing the rulebook is a terrible look for sports officials. The 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix was a classic Interlagos race, with changeable weather and pure chaos on track. On lap 54, Mark Webber lost control of his Jaguar, climbing up the cafe corner, and crashed hard into the wall. The track was littered with debris from Webber's car. Fernando Alonso failed to slow down and collected one of Webber's tires, and also suffered a violent crash. With the track completely blocked, officials decided to throw out a red flag and call a race. According to motorsports rules, a red flag resets the running order from the previous lap. In this case, lap 53. However, race control decided to roll the order back to lap 52, which handed the win from race leader Giancarlo Fisichella to Kimi Räikkönen instead. A week later, the call was reversed, and Fisichella was awarded the win, his first in Formula One. The Italian received the trophy from Räikkönen and took part in an awkward, makeshift podium ceremony during the San Marino Grand Prix. 2019 Canadian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel was enduring a difficult season in 2019. Struggling to adapt to Ferrari's new car, the 4-time champion was fighting for a distant third in the standings. Vettel scored a brilliant pole for the Canadian Grand Prix and managed to hold back Lewis Hamilton for most of the race. On lap 48, Vettel missed his braking point into the turns 3 and 4 chicane and ran off the track. Unable to control his car, the German returned to the track right in front of Hamilton's Mercedes. The British driver tried to take advantage of Vettel's mistake to line up a move, but was forced to back off in order not to hit Vettel's out-of-control car. In a very questionable decision, Vettel was awarded a 5-second penalty for a dangerous rejoin, despite not having complete control over his car. The German crossed the finish line first, just over a second ahead of Hamilton, and was demoted to second because of the penalty. In an iconic scene after the race, Vettel grabbed the race winner board on Parc Ferme and placed it in front of his car. 1984 Monaco Grand Prix. Monaco is always a special race, and when it rains, things get even more interesting. With the rain picking up as the race progressed, conditions became increasingly tricky, but the track was definitely drivable. Race leader Alain Prost was worried with the rapidly approaching Tollman of rookie Ayrton Senna. Further behind, young German phenomenon Stefan Bellof was also closing in on the pair. On lap 29, Prost waved at race control to stop the race. He repeated the gesture over the following 2 laps. Former F1 driver Jackie Ickx, who was the race director, decided to follow Prost's suggestion and red flagged the event, calling the race. Race control's questionable decision to end the race earlier denied fans a thrilling 3-way clash between an established star driver and 2 promising youngsters. Only half points were awarded. which, quite ironically, ended up costing Prost the title. 2016 Mexico Grand Prix. The final laps of the 2016 Mexico Grand Prix saw a three-way fight between four-time champion Sebastian Vettel, with rising stars Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo ruined by race control. On lap 68, Verstappen was pressured into a mistake, missed the braking point into turn 1, and cut the track. He ended up backing Vettel into Ricciardo. A lap later, the Australian lined up a move into turn 4. Vettel moved to defend, while Ricciardo locked up his front tires. The pair had the lightest of touches going side by side, and the fight continued. It was some fair, clean, close racing. Verstappen crossed the line third, with Vettel fourth, and Ricciardo fifth. Shortly after the flag, Verstappen was awarded a 5-second penalty for cutting the track and gaining an advantage, promoting Vettel to the podium. The German took part in the ceremony, only to be handed a 10-second penalty for the so-called incident with Ricciardo. In the end, the Honey Badger was promoted to the podium, while race control had changed the rostrum order twice. 2021 Belgian Grand Prix. The 2021 season featured one of the greatest title fights in F1 history. But the Belgian Grand Prix was probably one of the lowest points of the season. The Spa-Francorchamps circuit was hit by heavy rain on Sunday. Despite this, most drivers argued that the conditions were good enough for racing. Race control, however, decided to delay the start. After attempting 2 formation laps later on, the officials called the cars back into the pits and refused to let the race start. After a 3-hour wait, race control made a terrible decision. Drivers would run the minimum 3 laps behind the safety car, and the race was going to be called after that. And so, the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix became the shortest race in F1 history, with only 3 laps and no green flag action. Motorsport is dangerous, but trying to completely eliminate the risk factor can completely ruin the show. And that was definitely the case here. 2024 São Paulo Grand Prix. Qualifying for the 2024 São Paulo Grand Prix was rained out on Saturday, and the session had to be moved to Sunday morning. In Q2, a bad call by race control almost turned the title fight on its head. With a few minutes to go, Lance Stroll lost control of his Aston Martin and crashed hard into the tire wall at the Mugello. The situation looked like a certain red flag, but race control let the session continue for another 20 seconds. This gave Lando Norris, who was below the cutoff, enough time to set a lap. Race control then threw the red flag shortly afterwards, preventing Max Verstappen from setting a lap time and causing the Dutchman to be eliminated. Combined with an engine penalty, Verstappen would be forced to start all the way back in 17th. Steward Johnny Herbert, a vocal Verstappen critic, was immediately accused of trying to favor countryman Lando Norris with the call. In the end, the Dutchman pulled off one of his best drives to win the race, while Herbert was removed from his position. 2025 Belgian Grand Prix. Spa is a bit of a magnet for bad calls. Just like the 2021 race, the 2025 event was delayed by a brief shower. Again, drivers argued that conditions weren't particularly bad, but race control ultimately decided to err on the side of caution. While fans anticipated a thriller, thanks to the different setup choices in the wet, the race became a boring procession in the end. On a dry track, overtakes became a rarity, and what promised to be an entertaining Grand Prix turned into a snorefest. Once again, questions emerged about Pirelli's extreme wet tires and how they served no actual purpose, with race control often opting for a red flag instead. 2008 Belgian Grand Prix. The 2008 title fight between Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa went down to the wire, and one of the reasons was a questionable decision taken by race control. On lap 41, the track was hit by a sudden shower. Hamilton took advantage of the mixed conditions and closed the gap to race leader Kimi Räikkönen. The Brit went for a move at the bus stop chicane, but ran wide and gave the position back to the Finn. Hamilton went on the attack again into La Source, and this time, he was able to complete the pass. Räikkönen crashed out at Blanchimont, promoting teammate Massa to the runner-up spot. After the race, Hamilton was awarded a drive-through penalty for cutting the track during his fight with Räikkönen, which handed the win to Massa. McLaren tried to argue that their driver had not gained an advantage, having immediately given the position back. But since teams weren't allowed to protest drive-through penalties, race control's decision stood. These are the moments in which race control ruined Formula One races. Do you remember other equally controversial calls? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.